one man saying that is fine. If that's your opinion and you're not in it, that's fine. But there is an entire market of millions and millions of people that agree that it is a store of value. So, you can think one thing, but there's also a market, and markets tend to become efficient over time.
We do know that you will always get paid in Hex on a daily basis. And that is truly the miracle that we call Hex, because it is trustless interest, trustless yield. Nothing will stop that contract from running.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into the Creed of Crypto. My name is Blast Off Boy Crypto, because hopefully we are getting ready to blast off in the crypto market right now. We got Bitcoin popping off, soaring to new all-time highs over the last week. We got Ethereum saying, you know what? I'm not an impotent old man. I can actually get up and fight, take my Viagra, my Blue Chew, and get up. So we'll see. It's trying, so we'll see what it does here. We got PulseChain kind of consolidating in the range that it's been in. Lots of fun stuff coming down the pike for PulseChain as far as, marketing things we've been hearing about. Tonight we're going to talk a lot about Liberty Swap, obviously, with all the crazy things that we're seeing them do every single day. So much good stuff coming, it looks like, and just lots of reasons to feel very bullish. Thank you all for the warm welcome back. It was awesome to just get a response from all these great people on Twitter over the last day. We tweeted out the show, and just, a lot of people being pumped that the show is coming back after a couple of weeks break while we recharge our batteries a little bit. So thank you all for that. We got a lot to get to tonight. So Ewok, you were just saying before we went on there, like, not a lot going on. Maybe not as far as prices totally popping off, but things are beginning to happen, it seems, here in July. So what do you feel about everything right now?
Yeah, I think this is like the silent kind of pump, and it happens slow enough where people turn around and they say, oh my God, how did that happen? What, where are these prices coming from? What's going on? It's just silently happening. People aren't really aware and watching because, Bitcoin's going up, but now Ethereum is too. Ethereum's on a nice little run. There's some very bullish things happening. I think it looks good. There isn't much going on. It's the silent run that, those people are missing now because they kind of checked out and got bored. And so I'm enjoying it.
Yes, same here. We do have things happening. Shout out everybody in the chat. I'm not going to put them up on the screen, or my computer will be like, hey, you poked me the wrong way. I'm going to completely screw everything up here. We got RH Max here. Appreciate you, man. And shout out everything you did for the PulseX conference, putting another great one together. Awesome to see. Awesome guests there. I tuned into a couple of panels and just really great positive vibes all around. Viper Style, shout out. Meta Stang, Valiant Low Key. Tam, welcome to you as well. Destroyer, Marco, Hammy. Really appreciate all of you guys being here. Thank you for the couple weeks off. We're happy to be back. The Rat, Destroyer, somebody talking about Ewok's beard being gone. What brought on the decision to get rid of the beard? Is it the fact that we're in this ridiculous humidity that we've got right now, or is it that the bull market is on? What brought it on, Ewok?
Well, BitBoy called and asked me if he could borrow it, and that's what happened.
Perfect. I was wondering why this was. I was like, why the hell is that his monitor down there? That's perfect. It looks good on. I told you the other day, I think that's the best BitBoy's ever looked. He looks like he's dropped even more weight. He's growing the beard out. I think BitBoy's doing A-okay right now.
Yeah, I think so too. No, not to whatever. If he needs some help or assistance or whatever, I wish him the best. I just thought that would be funny that, I just got bored and shaved it one day, and somebody had mentioned how old it made me look, and that didn't make me feel the greatest. So I just said, well, I don't really care. I'm going to shave it I shaved it the next day. So just got bored.
I didn't think it made you, but yeah,
needed a change. It'll grow back. All good.
It will. It will grow back. And I bet the boys walking around the jailhouse, with that new beard, just Every room he goes into, do I have your attention now? I was forgetting what the quote was, but
right.
Yeah. All right, so let's launch into Bitcoin and ETH. Man, do we have prices popping off. Bitcoin has looked uber strong here over the last couple of weeks. I mean, we've barely even been up at these levels of about 120K, but I almost feel like I'm pinching myself saying it. I mean, we've talked about like Bitcoin getting to this number for so long. A lot of people talked about 120, 125K being their bull market top. Right now, I don't think anybody's thinking that will be the case. But even if it is, and Ethereum runs against it, who gives a shit? That's fine, I guess. But we've got Bitcoin at about 119,273 right now. ETH, it's been a mover. It's up 10% today. Bitcoin only up 1.5%. So ETH is closing that gap ever so slightly. It's up to almost 3,400. I mean, this has been a strong move finally from Ethereum over the last couple of days. You're seeing some of the other altcoins and stuff on the top 100 start to move and stuff like that. But just the fact that we're starting to move here, and again, this cycle isn't really mirroring the exact timing of last cycle, especially with Ethereum. Ethereum hit its first stop in like April, May. We've not even seen Ethereum get to a new all-time high, and we're in mid-July right now. Yeah. So whatever direction you want to take it, Ewok, first with Bitcoin, I mean, we've never had any complaints about Bitcoin this bull cycle. I mean, it's been the only thing doing everything. And then we can get to your thoughts on Ethereum. But yeah, wherever you want to take it, what do you think about all this right now?
Bitcoin has, slowly dominated so far, but that's kind of what happens. It's only down for a year and then it kind of starts to turn around. I was just looking at the gainers for today of the ones that I have bookmarked here. It looks like Sonic's actually got the best at about 9% on the day. A nice little candle here for Sonic, going from about 35 cents to 30, almost 39. Yeah, 39 cents. But Doge is looking good. 8.5%, 8.2%. Nice day. But yeah, Bitcoin, let's take a look at it here. It is having a little kind of rollover going on in the charts. But again, I had said it a couple weeks ago, when we start hit these levels of 120, 125, those are the psychological levels that are always, people are just going to have sell orders in there. It's got to eat up those orders, and then it kind of turns around and goes. But, I was looking at this overall trend line, and it's funny how we're starting to pull away from it. But then, you look back here in the last cycle and how far, when it got to the 65,000, how far it pulled away from the trend line as well. This is over a long period of time. This is the main trend line for Bitcoin. So, we're still not pulled away from it yet too much. But, if you look at it for what it could do and pull away, we're looking like it could get over 200,000. So I don't know. I know RH had called a 220 or 240 or something like that top was his estimate. But now when you're actually looking at things on the trend line and how far it can pull away from them, that doesn't seem too outrageous. So, let's just hope Ethereum kind of takes the same charge as well. This is a similar trend line for Ethereum as well, kind of inverted over here to the Ethereum chart. But yeah, look at these daily candles we're getting. The past, since the 8th, it decided to just break out, and it's been the last 8 days of nothing but up, except for one little tiny candle here on the 12th, where it didn't seem to be too sure what it wanted to do. But yeah, let's take a look at this ratio too. See how it's changing. 0.28. Yeah. So it is looking good. It's on the rise as well. Yeah, I'm liking the looks of everything. And like I said, this is one of those silent runs that people may just miss out on because they gotten frustrated waiting so long. You start to see these posts of people saying, "Oh man, I wish I would have just put my money in Bitcoin and whatever else." I forget what it said, but
Solana.
It baffles
I know what
me.
you're talking
Solana,
about.
yes, it was Solana. And I'm like, it baffles me because this cycle isn't even over yet. I don't know how they're willing to say that so early. Like if the cycle was over and everything was headed back down, that'd be one thing. But you know,
Oh yeah.
to say that this early is kind of weird. Like I don't know. I'm all for people like that just selling. Get out. If you're not sure what you're doing, then you probably shouldn't have put as much in as you did, kind of thing. So yeah, I'm liking this. I'm liking the looks of it. This is timing out to kind of how we had talked about, where we start to run in July, August, late July, August, and it's shaping up to be that, and to head right into September and the last quarter, just go and run. So I'm still set on the very similar to 2017 looking cycle, how things are playing out, how they're shaped as far as timing goes throughout the year. That year, Christmas was the top essentially. So I'm still in that area. Well, for Bitcoin, but yes, and then things played out for the next 30 days or so for the altcoins. But that's kind of what I'm still seeing, and that's kind of how everything is shaped so far. So I think that's where we're headed.
So you bring us to a good point here, because the other thing I wanted to discuss, as we have like a lot on the show, obviously over the last year. I mean, I think the first time we started looking at, could there be a 2026 cycle top for Bitcoin primarily for Bitcoin, but like just overall bull market and crypto top. I think we first started talking about a 2026 potential probably about a year ago right now. One of the times we had access on, because Bitcoin was looking so bullish in 2024, and then things seemed like they start, like ETH, of course, ETH still wasn't moving. So we started to talk about that as a possibility the whole way back then. And now there's a lot of increasing talk of that. Like there's a lot of people, because ETH hasn't moved, because the stuff they're holding hasn't moved, which, newsflash, isn't just PulseChain. It's most people that are in altcoins. Their stuff has not really moved a lot. It's the idea that we're not going to see a top until maybe even the end of quarter one in 2026 is becoming a more popular idea. Now, you just said, Ewok, that you still feel like we could mirror something like 2017, in which that means that hockey stick idea, at least for Bitcoin, well, really for everything, I guess. And that was a totally different crypto landscape, but just hockey sticked into December. And then don't forget, in Ethereum's case, in January 2018, that would have been, which we can kind of look at again. But is that kind of still where you are with this time frame? Like, you really don't give any credence to the idea of even like a February to March top potentially for Ethereum and some altcoins? Because I know you're not the biggest fan of Bob Lucas, but I saw him have a thesis a few weeks back where he felt like the highest percentage outcome was that we could see a top of the overall market in that, February, March 2026 zone, with Bitcoin getting to the 200K level or something. So do you not put any credence in that, I guess, at this point?
I mean, come on. What's December, January, and he's saying February, March? I mean, we're really 3.5 months.
It's a huge difference.
I mean, it's not, though.
Well,
because we don't know how the markets are going to react. We don't know how.
I was being facetious there, but it could be. I don't know.
Right. I mean, it's close, right? I mean, if we get it to within a month or two, I think we're doing a pretty good job. And I'm not sold on it going late into. I have always said I think things will be done by the end of the first quarter. I think closer January-ish. But hey, I mean, it's a window. If Bob Lucas is saying February, March, and I'm saying December, January, not that I'm anywhere, I don't have the following that Bob Lucas does, but that's what I'm seeing. That's how it's looking to me. Again, there are other people saying that it's going to extend even further out into the summer and maybe even into the early fall. So I don't see it going that late. I still think the 4-year cycle is still intact until it's not, and we're not going to know until it happens. It's if we only had the crystal ball, that would be one thing, but it's still all speculation.
Well, yeah,
at this
and
point.
sorry,
no, you're good.
Yeah, and like you said, I guess you could look at it as splitting hairs or not. Like, I mean, could you actually say the 4-year cycle is no longer intact if it didn't top out until like the middle of the first quarter of 26, like let's say February or March? I mean, I guess what you're saying is right. Saying December of this year versus then isn't like some kind of, oh my God, it's a totally different paradigm. But I think you would agree that 90 more days, 60 to 90 more days where there could be potential of a bullish environment can only really be a good thing. So I guess it's two different conversations. It's one, like, are we saying the 4-year cycle is totally a different thing now? Or are we just saying like the potential for how good this one could be with 60 to 90 more days is a huge difference? Like that really could be a huge difference, as you know, with a 90-day period in crypto.
Sure. I honestly think, the extra 90 days, you could have a massive amount. Now, remember, there are more people coming in to crypto than there were in 2017. So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
There's institutions that are now in the game that were not. So there's that. There's a lot of things at play that could extend the cycle. But again, Axis is a great friend of ours. I'm just not sold yet on the going late into 2026. I think that disproves the whole 4-year cycle, where, March, whatever, it doesn't. Like, anywhere from December to March, these cycles tend to sway a little bit. They're never the same. They rhyme, but they're never an exact match. So it's just, I think there's a difference of anywhere to 100 days on some of the time frames that are listed, but they still stay pretty much the same, similar. But if it were to go late into 2026, I would say that breaks the 4-year cycle. So,
yeah, I could see that. It is two different things. Yeah, I definitely don't think it would be something where we went into late 2026. I think definitely by, halfway through, maybe at the very absolute latest, like the end of the first quarter next year, like April or something like that. And I wouldn't even think that that's likely at that point. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big wait and see kind of game,
a good
man.
comment
It really
here. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all.
Yeah. Viper Styles, good comment. I heard Ewok shaved the beard due to becoming a believer in PDI to $1. I think he is right about that. So we'll have to get him on the record for that here shortly. But a lot of interesting stuff though with BTC and ETH right now. I mean, it's finally, good to be feeling good vibes. I mean, do you have any kind of final thoughts on either of those?
Well, yeah, kind of a little bit. Marco still thinks ETH top will be around 8,200 to 9,000. I'm still sold on closer to 15. And my target is between 15 and 17. I think. I still think there's a lot of room to run. We still have the ETFs that are getting started. They haven't happened. There's a lot of people silently buying Ethereum, and I know that price is being held down somehow. I don't know what they're doing. It's being manipulated. Whether you have to remember a lot of this stuff too. There's so many things happening on exchanges, and I think a lot of it is still derivative play. People are not buying on exchanges and taking their money out. If they did that, there would be a lot higher price right now. People are in there trading and doing things. There's a lot of it's very simple. I saw a comment the other day that reminded me of this. It's very much like a bank, right? If we all went to the bank and withdrew our money, they wouldn't have enough. It's the same thing with exchanges and your tokens. They're only playing with a certain amount, but everybody's in there playing and trading and doing things. Some lose money, some win money. It's all a zero-sum kind of game a lot of times. But if everybody were to withdraw their money from these centralized exchanges, they wouldn't have anything left, and the price would actually skyrocket because they would then have to buy it on the market to supply their exchange to do the things that are happening. And it's just not. There's so many things like Robinhood used to be where it's all derivative. It's all paper. It's all paper trading. It's not buying and selling on the markets, it's not hitting the markets like it should. So you have to keep that in mind.
Yeah. The Ethereum call is interesting. Like with you, I'm warming up slightly to the idea of Ethereum getting to $15,000. Of course, I say now that it's 3,400 and not 2,200 or something like that. But I mean, nobody really believes that anymore. So I mean, that is now a pretty contrarian opinion to have. I mean, if we do get upwards of 200K Bitcoin, that would mean, I mean, for Ethereum to even get to a halfway respectable ratio to Bitcoin at 200K. Yeah, we would be looking at only 10K Ethereum. So I mean, 15 would have been out of the question, like completely reasonable, a couple of years ago and it was. I mean, all of us were pretty much forecasting 15 to 20K ETH, but it's been so pathetic this entire cycle so far that now the targets of like 10K have been more common. And honestly, I think we're still okay if it gets to only 10K. Like, I mean, I would not be, up in arms, angry or something like that if it only got to 10K. If it gets to the numbers that you're talking about, Ewok, like 15K, which again, I do think would happen later than December, kind of, and I think it would really catch people off guard, and the only people that take advantage of it are true utter psychos like us, probably.
Yeah.
That would be freaking phenomenal. I mean, that would be that's obvious, that's the optimal scenario, of course. So
yeah. Who knows? I mean, don't forget, a lot of people play that game where they feel the Bitcoin top happening, they transfer out into ETH, they let that ride up, then they transfer into some altcoins and let those ride up. It's a very short window for all that stuff to happen, maybe 30, 45 days. But we could kind of see a blow off hockey stick looking crazy thing. And so what would the ratio be? Let's do the math here. Or did you do the math, like the actual Bitcoin to ETH ratio? Well, if we were at 17,000, hang on, go ahead.
Well, we have a massive delay. I was going to refresh in a minute here, but I was going to say, first off, what I was going to say is, so if we even doubled the ratio from what it's at right now, so ETH is at like 0.28 or something to BTC right now. If we got to 0.56 at 200K BTC, that would put us a little bit over 10K basically. That put you to like 11K or something.
So
you're saying for Ethereum to be at 17,000, right?
At 223,000, I just did weird numbers. 223,000. If Ethereum got to 17,000, we would be looking at a 0.076 ratio. So I don't think that's too far out of the question when you're looking at where we were before. Let's go to the Ethereum chart here. Hang on, let me pull this up and take a look at where we were with this ratio at the last peak. So if we go to Ethereum, change it to the Bitcoin, were we ever at 0.7? Yeah, we've been up to 0.09 before. So 0.09 was about the top of the Bitcoin Ethereum ratio. So 0.07 isn't really that far off, even because Bitcoin has gained some strength over the years with the institutions, everything like that. You got Saylor buying all the Bitcoin, and a lot of these other big companies that are buying as well. But they're going to start buying Ethereum too. So just keep that in mind. 0.07 isn't that much. And if we do get to a $225,000 Bitcoin, 17,000 is not even at that previous all-time high ratio of the 0.09.
Yeah. And I will say, I'm not like incredibly bullish about Ethereum getting to any kind of a top of its ratio against BTC. So I'm definitely not going to count on that. But even if it only, like I said, worst case scenario, like if Bitcoin does get to 200K, even if Ethereum just maybe, we'll say, doubles the ratio from where it's at now, which still would not be good. Like that would be a pretty bad bull market return against Bitcoin if Ethereum 1.0. So yeah, I mean, we'll just have to see if that's where we get. I don't know if I just went out right there. Some stuff just refreshed for me, so not sure.
Yeah, you got a little choppy, but you're back.
Okay. But yeah, those are kind of some possible scenarios. Do you have any kind of final thoughts on that, Ewok?
No, I think my head hurts after all that stuff.
Yeah, that was a lot. Let's take a look at some of the PulseChain prices here for what everybody is really here for. And after I tee you up with this, I'm gonna leave, I think, and come back real quick here. We've got Pulse at 4 zeros and a 2875 right now. Oh, I think I just lost Ewok actually. That was interesting. There he comes. Interesting. Thought I was the one with the issues.
Well,
I know he's got mental issues. There he is.
Can you hear me?
Really? Wow. I do. Yes, I hear you now. Yeah.
Okay.
You okay? Everything good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Let me get the
weird.
Share this up here real quick.
Yeah, we got all kinds of weird stuff going on here. Okay, we got Pulse at 4 zeros 2876. We've got PulseX at 4 zeros 2139. We've got Hex at, what does it say there? 0049, EHEX 0016. I forgot Ink, of course. How could I forget Ink? $1.45. And then, Ewok did shave his beard tonight to hear that PDI is at 00458 right now. So it's about a little over 200x away from $1, should that ever happen. But yeah, this is where we are. We have moved up from the level that we were kind of consolidating in, which was that 2.4-ish level for Pulse, which is a level we've talked about for a while. It kind of first went back down there when that weird Maria Rael was doing all kinds of weird Atropa stuff back. I don't know when that even was, sometime in the spring. And we were hovering around that level. It looks like we are hitting a little bit of resistance for Pulse at this 4 zeros and a 3 number. I mean, that is a very famous number within the chart. I mean, that was the previous all-time low. And we've kind of been tagging it here and just kind of got pushed back down a little bit here recently. But if you wanted to take a look at Pulse Ewok and then whatever else you wanted to see and just see what we're looking at here. I mean, we're still down. We don't have Ethereum at, previous all-time highs of 4,800, but we have it recovering. And of course, we're going to move a little bit with it. So what are you kind of seeing in the Pulse chart here?
Yeah, looks like almost a cup and handle here going on here. A nice, very nice rounded bottom on this. We like those rounded bottoms. It's looking strong. I do believe that the 4 zeros 2 was held off very nicely. I mean, there are a bunch of touches in here that tried to break through, and they held up very nicely. You've got the cup here, handle kind of forming, which is very bullish. This could really take off nicely. This candle is the start of it, but I do like this rounded formation here a lot. We did not pass the previous low down here. We did break through this one a little bit, but again, this is very nice rounded. It looks like it's holding up pretty well. Yeah, I think it overall looks pretty good. We did have a big dumper that got rid of a lot of Pulse, a lot of PulseX. Now I believe they're moving on to Hex. We'll probably talk about that later too. But after all of that, I think this defended itself pretty nicely because there were hundreds, or actually billions of tokens being sold off in large chunks. So after getting through that, I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's good to be back up in this range a little bit. We are moving up with the rest of the market, and things have been looking okay. And that is interesting. I don't know how much I want to get into that. I mean, there's other more positive stuff to talk about, but just with some of the how much of some of the, because there are narratives out there where people are like, that's going to keep the ecosystem down and we can't move up whenever all this dead weight Hex stuff is here. But again, as we've said a million different times on this show, all sorts of altcoins have not moved at all. I mean, like, yes, I mean, yeah, you can see stuff on the blockchain and surmise whatever you want from it, and you may be right, you may be wrong, but I mean, we have tons of tokens that have done absolutely nothing this cycle whatsoever. So how much of it do you think is just kind of that stuff, like the business cycle, Ethereum being where it's at? We are not cutting rates yet. That's something that we can get into as well. Yeah, how much of it is that versus, oh, there's a couple hex dumpers out there, which is going to keep happening. Like this stuff where people just keep like, okay, boys, he's got this much left. It's like, okay, will you please stop? Like, this is never going to end. You're going to be posting about this shit when we do a 10x from here. Like, it doesn't matter. You're going to keep doing it, you know?
Yeah, you know, I feel kind of a couple different ways about the wallet watching. While I get it, and it's good to kind of analyze behaviors of some of the higher ups, right? You're always going to have that every ecosystem, and it does take sometimes years and cycles for it to all play out, right? I mean, there are sharks and whales in Hex. Some of them still have all of their bags. You know, the last one was reported to be Dev Kyle, who, you know, I don't know if it's good or not to call names out. It's as far as I know, it's a suspicion. I don't know if there's proof, but what was it last time? It was Bank X, right? We were worried about their 800 million that the Godwill gave them for their token. So I mean, you're always going to be talking about it, and eventually, it's going to play out to where it gets spread out amongst everybody. Yeah, there you go, Viper Styles. I didn't even see that comment, but there's always going to be someone to talk about, someone to dump the coins. As far as we go, there's going to be people that wake up one day, 10 years, 15 years later, and say, oh, well, I got a big bag of this. Let me just dump it because I need it for whatever reason. It's going to happen. There's some big Bitcoin whales out there. You know, there's one that's moving around a bunch of coins now. So again, there's always going to be people that can wreck the price. How much does the network grow? How many people do we onboard in the meantime to be able to sustain it and to buy up these dips that are, you know, they look like a little blip on the radar if we get enough people involved, and then the price can really take off. Now, you know, the staking feature definitely makes a big difference with Hex because, you know, there is a lot of it that's locked up, a ton of it that's locked up. And if you're paying attention to those and you know, look at when the big unlocks are happening, if there are buyers in place ready to go, then we'll eat those up too. So I'm not overly worried about it. You know, it just takes a while for things to even out. There are going to be major investors, as with everything there is at the beginning, that have large bags, and eventually they're going to sell. Eventually you're going to sell. You know, everybody's going to sell at some point. It's just a matter of when and how long you want to hold on. So, you know, we'll get through it. It's just it's just a matter of still believing in the product itself and having faith that we've got a lot more growth to go out of this than there is downside.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be living on Twitter every day and, you know, doing or watching the wallet sleuthing, I mean, look, some people find value in some of those accounts. And, you know, there's one specific one that does all this different research. And it's, you know, here's what we looked into today. And, you know, like you just mentioned, like doxing someone, whether they have proof or not. I don't know how great of an idea that is. I think it's mostly, I mean, we talked about this privately. I think it's mostly just complete and utter waste of time. Like, I think Richard would also probably echo that. Not that, like, I, you know, adopt whatever opinion he has, but I just, in the grand scheme of things, I just don't know how doing that is really good. Like, who cares? Literally, what do I do with that information? You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, here's a guy with a big bag that's dumping. And it's like, what else is new? Like, I heard this story 15 times before, and it doesn't matter. And the thing is, we just made like a 20% move up or whatever, probably more than that in the last week or two. And they're still posting about it. It's like, who gives a shit? We went up. I don't care. Like, I'm not worried about somebody dumping or who it is or why. You know what I mean? It's like, if the cake tastes good, I don't really give a shit what you did to it.
Right.
You know, so,
well, to a certain extent.
To a certain extent, yeah, depending upon who you are, I guess. But yeah, take a look at Hex here.
As long as you're not American Pie with the apple pie or anything like that.
Oh, geez, yeah. Well, that's a pie. I didn't say cake. I
okay.
said pie, but
cake
yeah.
pie.
As long as you're not Jason Biggs in it,
yeah. So Hex held up pretty well too. Like, I mean, there's, like I said, there's a lot of support right here at this 0047 level, and it did make a nice little run last week. We were all the way up to almost 0.007. But it has retraced a little bit. I think this is where that one of those big sellers did kind of step in. But again, I don't understand why people get upset or worried about it. Would you rather they get out now or when the prices are 50 cents, right? 20 cents. I think the amount of Hex that gets sold now or whatever it is, Hex, PulseX, that gets sold now while we're at the bottoms is just that much more that it can't hurt the price later. It'll be somebody else. But imagine if there were that many more, right? I mean, somebody will sell big amounts, but if there were that many more people that had that big of amount, then we would be in worse shape. So, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, get them out now. Hex looks good. They all look good. Especially the cup and handle on the Pulse chart looks even better. This is a little more. This could be a nice W forming here with the Hex chart. So, yep, I'm looking good. What's up, Johnny Chaos? Nice to see you.
Johnny Chaos in the chat. Welcome in. We got a few good longtime Hex people here as well. So welcome in. Howdy to you. I wanted to ask you this. I starred this from Ivor. I almost said Igor. Do you boys think PulseX will 10x above SAC, which will define what that means for anybody who doesn't know and a friend is looking to invest? Well, of course, we're not going to tell a friend if you're looking for a price that you think a token is going to get to sell your friend, I don't even know if they should get into anything, honestly, because that you need to actually, they need to understand what it is. Do they know what PulseX is? Do they know what PulseChain is? Do they understand crypto? Like, I would worry about all of that stuff first. In terms of getting above 10x SAC, I have a strong feeling about what Ewok will respond with, but I was just kind of looking and doing the math when I saw your question, and that would be about a 45x from here of which is crazy to think of. Like, I don't think people realize that. Like, PulseX, like some of the stuff is down enough now where you think, like, people talk about sacrifice rate, and now you're like 10x SAC rate, like that's not a great number. Well, these prices have been so low for so long, and if you've DCA'd this whole time, that's now turned into, again, from where we are right now for PulseX, would be a 45x. So,
we're
I mean,
we're 80% off of SAC rate right now, I believe, and then from there another 10x. So I mean, eventually with the burn mechanism. I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
I don't even know. No, I don't think you did. I didn't feel like you did.
Okay. Well, with the burn mechanism in place, I think PulseX is going to be your long time holder. I think it's going to gradually grow as far as that goes, because the supply getting burnt, when the market heats up, the amount of buy and burn that's going to happen is going to, I think, be pretty crazy. I don't know that you're going to see hockey sticks on PulseX, but I think you're going to see. Remember, we always look at the pulse versus PulseX chart. This chart, how it just kind of keeps climbing. I think you're going to continue to see that with this token. I don't think it's going to be a hot and heavy run up. It will mirror, I think, with the rest of the market. But I see this one as being a longer term, just more steady rise. And eventually, I mean, I think eventually it'll 10x. I mean, you got to put a time frame out there too. Do I think it's going to happen next week? No. But over time, over at least 2 cycles, we'll definitely get, I think, 10x above SAC price. So, how long of a time frame does this person have? Many people are in this for the lottery ticket winners, to get rich quick, and it just doesn't work that way. Like, unless you happen to get lucky with a buy and a sell within a couple months later, and you've timed it perfectly, but that happens to so few people. So, ask your friend how long of a time frame he has. I think it is a good long-term investment. I think the whole PulseChain ecosystem is still so undervalued of what it should be. So, yeah, I mean, if that's the advice you can give your friend, then there you go. It's just a matter of time frame.
Did you just say there? Maybe I half heard you. Did you just say there that you didn't think that it would get to 10x above SAC rate until next cycle?
I said I don't know. I don't know that it'll 10x SAC rate this cycle, but I think it definitely will by the next cycle. I've always thought a 3 or 4x. I think, but who knows? These things can do crazy things. I mean, there's just so many tokens out there this early in the game that getting that high and having that much sell pressure, probably from people that are dumpers anyway, that aren't real serious about the ecosystem. Who knows? I think a 4 or 5x from SAC rate is probably more realistic this cycle. Could go a lot higher. I don't know, but I like to be realistic so that when it does overshoot it, I'm pleasantly surprised.
I just mean, you've been somebody who's been a pretty uber bull this entire time. I thought a 45x from here to you would have been easily thought that you would surpass that. So that's just why I'm asking that, just based on some of the stuff you've said in the past. But
I feel like 10x from SAC rate is a lot more than 45x.
It's a 45x from here. It's a 45x from where we're at right now. It definitely is 10x of SAC rate. So if you do SAC rate divided by where the price of PulseX is right now, which is 0.0001, which I will say to everybody, like, for people who do not know, I don't want to get into what the sacrifice is and all these definitions, but basically the SAC rate, or the price that supposedly everybody got tokens for at the beginning when they sacrificed, was 3 zeros and a 1. So you do that divided by where PulseX is right now, which is what, 4 zeros 22 or something like that, 2154.
2154.
So that gives you 4 points. So that gives you 4.64, and then just do that times 10, because it would be 10x of that SAC rate, right? I mean, I think that's how you would figure that out. That gives you a 45, 46x from here, basically. So, yeah, that's definitely right. So, yeah. And that's pretty much where you pretty much have acted like that those numbers were easily going to be that'd be a 46x. So, I mean, I think honestly, that's about the, if I had to crowdsource, or just things I've heard people say and speculators, which, I mean, you can wipe your ass with that, really. I mean, we don't know anything for sure.
Right.
I would say, I'd actually say that's probably 45x from here is probably the average that you would get people saying, honestly, if you were to actually crowdsource a lot, because you're going to have your people out there, they're like, oh, we're still getting 1,000x this cycle, which I don't even remotely plan on. You have people that are black pill doomer forever, PulseChain sucks, Richard ruined everything, that think that we'd be lucky to get a 5x from here. And if you look, kind of people that think in the middle, I think they'd be looking about the price that you gave Ivor, I'm sorry, as around average. But again, for your friend, that's not advice to get in based on that. I would not get in based on that. I would make sure they understand what PulseX is. I would make sure they understand what PulseChain is. And, because look at how many friends have gotten into crypto and they aren't friends with that person anymore. They, I'm not a huge fan of getting friends in, that may not already be naturally inclined. So make sure they understand what it is. That's all I would say.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I think with the first cycle of Hex being the only thing that was out there, a 10,000x was possible. And I think there are some unrealistic expectations, although 100x is not really that unrealistic. And now that you broke it down like that, that it is only a 45x to get 10x above SAC rate. For some reason, I was thinking it was closer to 500x or so from where we were. I don't know why my math was not mathing anyway. It's realistic, but again,
well, from the all-time bottom. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, we keep getting delays from the all-time bottom for PulseX. That would be about 110x or so to get to 10x SAC rate. So I mean,
yeah,
that'd be pretty good from the bottom still. So yeah,
heck yeah.
Anyway, great question, Ivor, and we appreciate you being here. I thought that was a good one to go over. Do you have any final thoughts or charts you want to look at within PulseChain Ewok?
No, I don't believe so. I think they're all looking pretty bullish, and we looked at PulseX, and Hex. I think we're pretty good.
Cool. All right. If you guys are here and enjoying the stream, do us a favor, hit the like button. We appreciate you guys being here. We do this almost every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We had the last couple of weeks off, visiting some family, chilling out and stuff like that. As far as what I want to get into next, because we kind of cover the whole dumper stuff. We got to get into this positive stuff of Liberty Swap. So Liberty Swap, Liberty Finance, I don't know what their official name is. I think it's Liberty Swap, but they are a very interesting case because, it's really interesting. We had not even heard of Liberty Swap until I think Richard actually tweeted about them out of the blue a few months ago. And, we know about like some of these different onboarding mechanisms, stuff like that, but people were not really familiar with Liberty Swap, and he started to post about them, and we're like, oh, okay, what's this one all about? And the next thing you know, they start to take the world by storm here, seemingly, and are everybody's new favorite Twitter follow. They gave me a follow back when I posted that we were going to be talking about them tonight, and they are just making updates every day and making more and more easy, cheap, seemingly ways to get into PulseChain, which is awesome. I think they're I haven't heard tons of people who have like used them necessarily yet. And when I was looking for like, Liberty Swap tutorial or whatever on YouTube earlier, I wasn't really finding any. So maybe we're on the precipice of that really starting to happen. But it really feels like all of these inroads, as we indicated on the title of this stream tonight, are really being created primarily through Liberty Swap. And we're just kind of going to go through like some of their recent posts. But before we even do, Ewok, what do you kind of surmise, I guess, with the fact that Richard kind of posted about them out of the blue, and then we started to see all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Is there any knowledge that you think he had prior? However, what do you think? I'm just curious because this stuff kind of came out of nowhere for us.
Yeah, it kind of took us all by surprise. He did post about them very, very early, which means for him to not honor somebody, but to support them from the beginning before they really became popular means he probably knew about them, what they were doing. Not to mention they're a bridge, right? They're a multi-chain bridge, almost competing with the bridge that they made for PulseChain. So he obviously knows about them, maybe knows who's behind it, maybe he's a partner somehow, silent partner, giving them advice, doing whatever. But I like the fact that you can now bridge in from many different chains. I just saw today that they upped the limit from $5,000 limit to $10,000 limit, which is, and unlimited transactions. So not only can you do $10,000 per send, you can do unlimited transactions as well, which is huge. There aren't many places like Change Now or things like that where you can bring money in for, I think they cap it at $1,000 or $2,000. So just the amount more of a limit that they have and unlimited transactions is pretty big, because as we all know, there are going to be some bigger investors that say, yeah, it's a pain in the ass, I can't move money over there easily. But if their limit keeps rising, who knows what they'll make it. So exciting, very exciting. Good to see that Richard supports them. Again, he wouldn't do that without some prior knowledge to what they were doing, making sure that it's pretty battle tested. The last thing he wants is for people to lose their money. So it does feel like he's got a sense of who's doing it and who's behind it. So that's a positive, very reassuring thing.
And the thing that's awesome is they're so versatile. Like you said, it's a bridge, it's a swap function. It's multi-chain that they're working on. I mean, it's everything that you could want. And a good comment from Beyond All here, saying that, like, if we're not going to have cooperation or anything from exchanges, or I should say even the opposite, if we're not going to cooperate with exchanges, which is fine because of some of the things that they request and require and the fact that they are centralized and everything, why not have something like Liberty Swap like this set up? And just to look at some of their recent posts here, I mean, we're just kind of going to go through some of their relevant posts recently about the updates that they've been doing. This one right here says, we're excited to announce that we've successfully expanded support for direct swaps from USDC on ETH to all supported PulseChain assets. Now, out of everything they've done recently, this is kind of, this is nothing compared to some of the stuff they've done, because they already had USDC from Ethereum. You could just swap into USDC on Pulse. So, I mean, that's a pretty simple thing to do. And then you just go ahead and DCA into whatever you want to. But now they've done it to eliminate a step if you want to just do USDC from ETH directly into, and I like what they mention here: Pulse, PulseX, Hex, Inc., PDAI, PWBTC, USDL, and CST, so the two other stable coins. So they said, we'll be closely monitoring these new routes to ensure everything runs smoothly. Enjoy bridging to PulseChain. So just another way. And then they even put a screenshot of 5,000 USDC for 183,000 Pulse. Actually, I thought it was PDAI, so my bad. I was projecting there.
I think that 5,000 is
a very cool
million.
update here.
Sorry.
Should be. Yeah, my bad. Yeah. You're right. It would be. Just didn't see the end of it. So bring up any of the other ones I sent you, because they have like some other roadmaps that they've been talking about, as well as a list of all the avenues it looks like you'll be able to get into PulseChain from.
Any particular one that you want to see?
I mean, just do whatever one you get to next. So we'll just go over all of them, because I think everything I sent you, I felt were like maybe worthwhile things. Yeah, here we go. This was kind of their little roadmap that they posted earlier this week. So from Liberty Swap earlier this week, the more routes we integrate, the more blockchains and layers we support, the more dApps we connect with, the more transaction volume flows through, the more private our protocol becomes. It becomes harder for wallet trackers to violate your financial privacy rights. Market makers love us, traders love us, ordinary people love us too. And we're still only at phase 1, not phase 2 yet. Privacy is normal. Privacy, another huge thing we've been talking about for this chain that Richard obviously values a ton. They have the 2 development phases here. Phase 1 focuses on cross-chain swap and send functionalities between PulseChain and other blockchains. Phase 2 would be planned to integrate additional privacy routes and services, enhancing the platform's privacy features. Then they say down there, 40 plus blockchains and layers will come to PulseChain, which is, I mean, crazy to think of. I mean, I don't even know that I could name 40.
I know, so I can't.
What would you make of some of the privacy stuff? Like, are they meaning privacy just in the fact that they're, the risk is spread? I mean, that's not really privacy, but the risk at least is spread through all these different things. What do you think they could be pointing to here with some of the privacy stuff?
A lot of zero knowledge stuff, a lot of like tornado type deals, railgun things. I think things like that, where they go into pools before they go to another wallet address, as long as it's all done by smart contract and there's no risk. That's one of the big problems with a bridge is there's always a sequencer somewhere involved that has to approve the transaction. And it's very hard. It becomes a very large attack surface that holds a lot of funds, basically, before it crosses over. It essentially bridges from one to the other. So the attack surface is very critical that you get it right. But who knows what they have planned as far as the whether it's ZK zero knowledge, which essentially means it's privacy. There's no known address or whatever that it comes from one goes to another without being able to tie the two together. So there's ZK rollups, there's ZK there's several ZK things that are in development, and we'll see how they tie them in. But I think one of the easier type things to do would be to almost pool the assets, right? And then come out the other side as not a single transaction. So essentially it makes different ones. It mixes the coins. It does that type of thing where you can do it a little bit more anonymously. I think that would be fantastic for coming in and out of the chain, because once you're in and out, you could go out, come back in with the same funds and nobody would know, essentially. So, there's a lot of benefits there.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think it's amazing that they're doing this. I think I sent you 2 more posts that had some decent stuff. I know one gave an indication of another, amount of things that are to come here. So,
there's this one.
So they say buying PulseChain assets with Liberty Swap Fi is the easiest and safest way for users. Why? If you try to buy directly on PulseChain, and this is an interesting point, you might run into failed transactions, RPC errors, dApps not connecting properly, or even security risks. But when you place your order through us, we handle everything. If a transaction fails, we automatically retry until it succeeds. Some orders today needed 3 entries to go through, and we cover the gas fees. So I had not realized that. I mean, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
If that's how it is working. And we should say I haven't used this yet, and I know you haven't either, Ewok. We saw a comment from Duke of Booze in the chat that says that he's used it a number of times, and it's been awesome. And just doing a couple dry runs, looking at it on their site, it seems extremely straightforward. I mean, it seems very easy to use. The fee is not hidden, which I appreciate. I mean, a lot of things have in many different ways of hiding their fee that you never even know that they gouged you, but this is just pretty much shown easily right up front on their site. So
yeah, for sure. I like the fact that they've been very, very open about a lot of things too. So transparency is definitely key.
Where is there was one I sent where they show a shot of blockchains that they're adding. I don't know where that one was. They had a list of all this
stuff.
That's
next after this one. That's next after this one. So this is the one. You want me to go to that one?
I was going to say, it might make sense to go to this one last, and I don't even know how important this one really is, I guess, but I sent it anyway. But yeah, the list of, here we go. So they said, if you take a look at our Connect Wallet option, you'll see what we're preparing for. All roads lead to PulseChain. It's inevitable. So here's their wallet types: Internet Money Wallet, Pulse Wallet, MetaMask, Wallet Connect, Coinbase Wallet, Brave Wallet, Rabby, which I think we all pretty much ditched, Phantom Wallet, which is mainly a Solana one, and Kepler, whatever Backpack is. I don't know what they are, but I mean, the fact that they're somehow adding support for all those is nothing but good. I mean, the point is, the people have these wallets if they're not in this ecosystem now, and how many, that pop-up right there, how many sites do you go to or dApps where you open to connect a wallet and they have more than even 4 options, maybe 5 options or something like that?
Yeah, not many.
So, yeah. So that looks awesome. We have all that. And then if you want, we can go to the Trustpilot review thing. how important that is, but just cool that people are getting out there and supporting. We're truly overwhelmed beyond anything we could have imagined. We just claimed the profile and honestly didn't expect things to move so quickly. So yeah, basically they got 56 reviews already, 4.8 on Trustpilot, and people loving Liberty Swap. So I don't know. It's just insane to me that this thing again kind of seemingly comes out of nowhere, and it seems like the perfect way to get into PulseChain, quickest, easiest. Richard always talks about idiot-proof stuff, like getting the average person to understand this stuff, having to speak their language. You and I have had arguments before about the average layman, did they know what fiat even means? Stuff like that.
Right.
So, I think it's really important to have a very simple way to do this.
Here's a nice little thing for you PDI lovers here. They do talk about it. So if you want to read that.
I saw that. The impact of PDI's marketing is truly impressive. Over the past 2 days, our protocol has processed a noticeable number of PDI purchase orders, and that's an objective observation. It shows that with the right approach, projects can also reach new buyers through similar efforts. So, yeah, really cool. Doesn't seem to be a lot of discrimination or anything like that, and whatever people want to buy, they can buy. So, very cool. I think it's one of the most bullish things to come, as far as onboarding or ways to get into the ecosystem that we've seen since Coast, really, which, so awesome. Do you have any other thoughts about Liberty Swap?
No, I love what they're doing. They didn't follow me back. I don't know why, but
I tagged them. I did tag them.
I know you did.
Yeah.
I'm just messing. I don't care about follows. But no, I did let them know that I appreciate what they're doing. They've kind of come out of nowhere. Their marketing has been on point. They've been everywhere I look. So, they're definitely doing something right for sure.
Yes. Yeah, I think so too. So awesome to see. So shout out the guys at Liberty Swap. We appreciate you for sure. If you are watching this clip maybe later on, go ahead and check them out. You can go to their Twitter. The link to the DApp is right in there, and you can play around with Liberty Swap. So awesome stuff for sure. And good name, I think, as well. So
yeah, for sure.
We can talk about this topic real quick. So recently, we have been seeing these moves of, that not just PulseChain people are covering, but like people within kind of whatever you want to call it, legacy crypto, or like, the rest of crypto Twitter and stuff like that. They're talking about this Bitcoin whale that moved Bitcoin, 80,000 BTC, I think it was, that hasn't been moved for years and years. And we are seeing, I did send you a post. It was just from a random person, just recapping it. There you go. Okay. Oh, Peplord. Okay. So rumor alert. Keep in mind it's the word rumor. A wallet just moved 80K BTC. That's currently about $8.8 billion. Allegedly linked. I mean, allegedly, I use loosely. I don't think there's really any proof of this, but allegedly linked to Richard Hart, founder of Hex and PulseChain. He recently began a 30-day workout plan. Many believe is a countdown. Today is day 29. When was this from? But geez, this is like a week ago. This thing's his workout.
July 4th.
Thing's been over for a while. Okay. Oh, geez, that was the 4th of July. I didn't realize that. Okay. I didn't realize that stuff moved that long ago. The SEC's final appeal deadline also just passed. What do you think? So I don't know. I'll say this. I am totally in favor of people within the ecosystem wanting to post that this could belong to Richard Hart. Who knows? I mean, just another thing to kind of advertise out there, I guess. And people have talked about the amount of BTC that Richard might has. I don't think that Richard's ever said like an amount, and why would you do that really? But do you believe there's any validity to this? Do you think that this specific move could be him? And remember, as far as anything that people just kind of hope and think that Richard could do, is we know that there is a sacrifice address out there that has, how much ETH is it again? 670,000 or something like that. And people are talking about, will that ever be, when will that, go ahead, sorry. 166.
160,000. Yeah. But okay. Yeah, I mean, so people are speculating that this is him.
Yeah, but people just wondering, like, when will that be injected? But what about Bitcoin? Yeah.
Right. I think there's only been one time that Richard was very fired up on a stream with somebody, and he threw the number 300,000 Bitcoin out there that he had. Often he doesn't like to talk about. He never would talk about how many he had, but he did let it slip one time. And if you ever look, just go to hexsearch.com. There's a lot of things that you can type in and pull up the video of what he said. Hexsearch.io, I think it is, not .com. But it's pretty cool. He mentioned that one time. I do know that there were a lot of wallets tied to him whenever the free claim happened. But what's interesting about the free claim is that there was what there was called a silly whale penalty. And anything over 1,000 Bitcoin in a wallet was penalized. So it was beneficial to break wallets up into 999 Bitcoin per wallet if you had that many. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of his wallets did that. Now, if you were to take this address and go back and see if it was part of a reconsolidation type thing where they were broken down into smaller amounts and then put all back in one bigger wallet, maybe. I don't know that there's any ties to him having large wallets that big by themselves. So again, I'm not sure that there's any way to tie it to him. Somebody may know of moves or something that was posted at one time. But again, I have no idea. I really don't think that's his. But again, I'm not one of the wallet sleuths that go around tracking wallets, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting. And again, I'm not going to fault anybody who wants to post this out there. I mean, as long as they're using terminology like allegedly and stuff like that, and a lot of people in crypto do know that Richard's been around for a long time, grabbed a lot of BTC back in the day. And again, I guess my thing is like not really trying to pin down how much BTC does he have or whatever, but just the fact that there are many people who have eyes on this, whatever you want to call it, Ethereum treasury of PulseChains, which don't forget, Richard Hart actually I don't want to say lobbied, but, quote tweeted that guy, Fabda or whatever. Yeah, that keeps track of all of the Ethereum strategic reserves. And next thing you know, PulseChain's listed at number 2. I think it's at number 3 now. But so Richard himself quoted that as an Ethereum strategic reserve. So, I mean, that is a fact. So, and a lot of people think, could that ever come into PulseChain, blah, blah, blah. But there's no real talk about any BTC he could have or what he might do with any of that or anything. I just find that interesting. Why do you think that is? Just people forget about it? I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of other coins out there that they don't talk about. There's the SAC address, but no one mentions the flush address from the AA contract. No one mentions all the Bitcoin that we all know that he's got a ton of. And again, he did mention that one number the one time, but who knows? That could have been low. He was mining 50 block rewards back when it wasn't popular at all. We all know he bought a lot at one point too. He helped make the $30 top. So it's hard to say how many he has. He could have been very easily underestimating when he threw that number out. But yeah, I who knows? I don't want to spend somebody else's money. I know I'm sure he's planned well, thought out how he would reallocate some funds. He does have a history of liking to buy his own tokens. So that's really all we can speculate at this point. Not how much, not whatever, but, again, I think a smarter play would be just to bridge that money over. I honestly think you would create such a frenzy just bridging that Ethereum over to PulseChain. You don't have to do a damn thing with it. Just bridge it over and watch how many people start buying to try and front run it. I think that would just trigger a lot of craziness.
Well, I just sent you a post the other day. There's multiple people who have had just the idea or thought of like, that sacrifice fund is like a carrot, basically, like you just said, like just bridging it over, like the excitement that it would give people. Like,
Yeah.
and of course now, I mean, people talk about, all right, yeah, it's time to pump the chain or whatever. It's like, yeah, okay. I mean, Ethereum's still $3,400, but why do that? Because so many people are waiting for it and are waiting to front run it and stuff like that. Why wouldn't you want to use, if you use it, as optimally and as sparingly as you possibly can, because you want people to start coming in. And if there's a point where you can really accelerate things towards the end with it, to where we've already got a snowball effect forming of new buyers because retail is just coming in left and right, that's what you want to do. You don't want to like just inject it willy-nilly or anything like that.
Yeah, we want it to be as organic as possible, right? I mean, we want the growth of the chain. We want people coming in smaller amounts of a lot of people. We're not going to turn down major investors, but it's more organic. It's more more. I think it's better for the whole chain when you get a bunch of small investors. Number one, you don't have big whales that are going to exit. If everybody's holding up the price because they don't have that much, it's not going to, it's not going to be a whole lot to them to cash out. That's when you see major growth. And I think, strategically playing it, whether you use it or not. I have seen people say that they don't think he'll ever use it to buy tokens, but yet use it as like that carrot that you said about. So we'll have to see how he plays it out. I'm sure he's thought about it. The man has always been several steps ahead, thought things well through, probably done many different scenario tests to see. So we'll see how it plays out. It's going to be interesting, I think.
I think so too. Yeah, it is awesome. Just the fact that we have all this stuff out there that, again, I mean, a lot of people, when it comes to the Ethereum stash, like strategic reserve that apparently Richard Hart himself thinks that it is, a lot of people have said, like, I've always thought it was wild that a bunch of people call this a treasury fund and it's another man's money and stuff. And it's like, that's fine, but then eventually, like, that man himself called it a strategic reserve. So, I mean, I understand having expectations and stuff like that, and like people wanting to just be saved. I totally understand that. But even Richard himself said that people forgot the PulseChain reserve, called the PulseChain reserve. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, this comment is interesting. I don't know that it'd be like giving it away, right? I don't know that he would use it for yield. I think there are other ways to create yield in this ecosystem. We've got the liquidity providing, things like that are easily controllable as far as yield. He's done so much to reduce yield, which was causing a lot of monthly dumpers of tokens because of the amount of yield they were earning. So at this point, no, I don't think it'll be used for yield at all. Essentially, that's just giving it away, especially when there are other ways to do it and reward people for good behavior. I don't think it'll be used for that at all. Just my take.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I mean, I definitely think the yield farms and everything, there's definitely a huge plan for a lot of those to come back. What they'll look like and how they'll be, what we'll see there, that's another thing, going back to that Liberty swap thing earlier, I think that there could be a part that they could play in that as well. So, yeah, all kinds of very interesting things there. So, okay, good stuff. I think I would, if it's cool with you, Ewok, like to wrap up there. To attend to some other things, unless there's anything that you would like to finish off with, or any final thoughts you have.
No, I don't think so. I think we covered, like I said, it's one of those quiet stages right now where things are kind of slowly happening in the background, and other than that, there's not a whole lot going on. I mean, there is, but there isn't. So just stay steady, keep your positive thoughts out there. things are going to be fine. You still have a little bit of time probably to DCA, but I don't know, not much. We are running out of time, I believe, before good things really start to happen. We haven't heard any more about the big marketing thing. We know that's coming. We know there are containers of things sitting, waiting to be sent out. So we're getting there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, forgot about that as well. So yeah, the marketing stuff too. So a lot of things coming, and not just for this ecosystem. I mean, again, like I understand the prices haven't moved yet, but look at what Bitcoin's doing right now. More importantly, look at Ethereum finally starting to turn things around a little bit. I mean, I'm sending you and DJ and Boy a screenshot of how Ethereum's looking against Bitcoin like twice a day at this point because things keep looking better. So, yeah, so appreciate all of you guys being here. Digital Money Markets, Viper Styles, Hex Girl. We had Johnny Chaos, RH Max, Tam in here earlier. Latest, thank you. Valiant Low Key, of course. Beyond All, Zach, Bitfest, and a whole bunch more. Duke of Booze. We do this every Wednesday night, unless we're on vacation at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So appreciate all of you guys. Hammy228. We'll be back here next week, same time, same channel. This has been Blast Off Boy Crypto with Crypto Ewok. We'll see you next week right here on the Creed of Crypto.
See y'all.